Hi, everyone. My name is Lewis. I work for Crosslake on ModuLoop stuff. And yeah, thanks for joining us half an hour early. We wanted to have a chance to walk through and also kind of get a recording of the installation of a project called MiniLoop, which is a simplified version of ModuLoop. And I've also got my dad joining us because my dad actually is the one that wrote most of the code. So he was interested in ModuLoop and wanted to kind of get his feet wet and learn something about the project. So he kind of volunteered to make MiniLoop. And then I've kind of just been putting some blogs together and trying to get people up and running with it on Slack. So yeah, let's dive into what it is, and then we're going to do a quick walkthrough of how to install it in like a kind of a fast forward mode, because it does take about half an hour to install, and I don't want everyone sitting there watching my console screen scrolling. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Got a few things to just kind of give a bit of background for what it is and why we wrote it. So the first thing here is this project page. Let me know if you can't see that. But on GitHub, we have this this project page for MiniLoop. And what it is we call it an opinionated in-the-box ModuLoop, which uses a few tools, including Vagrant, Kubernetes, and Helm. The main kind of one doing the heavy lifting here is Vagrant, which is a virtualization tool, or I guess it manages virtualization. So basically, you can run these three commands, and the main one being Vagrant up, and it will spin up a remote machine for you. It'll log into that machine, and it will provision a simplified version of ModuLoop. So what's going on behind the scenes here? Let's scroll down. I made this picture today to help us kind of have a look at it. Now, MiniLoop runs either on VirtualBox on your local machine, or it runs in Google Cloud. We looked at adding other cloud providers, but it wasn't so easy. So because Google Cloud has a Vagrant plugin that makes it very, very easy to port this across. So these are the two kind of modalities we have now, and I'll be demonstrating the Google Cloud version. So inside of your, let me just zoom in actually, inside of your Google Cloud instance, you have, oh, I did not make it any bigger. Let's try that. Inside of either your virtual machine running on your computer or in Google Cloud, we have this Vagrant box running Ubuntu version 18. And inside of that box is another box, which is running micro K8s, which is just a version or a flavor of Kubernetes. There's so many out there. K3s is another popular one that we're looking at, maybe using instead because it is a little lighter on memory. But there's a few of these different tools out there. Micro K8s is one that's also on our development and deployment guide. And inside of that box is a bunch of Docker images. And I didn't go through the individual pictures here, but essentially there's a ModuLoop switch running, and then there's a bunch of different simulators which will simulate DFSPs. And when we run Vagrant up, all of this stuff gets created for us, and then inside of it, we get a few handy things. There are these kind of 3 scripts which do all of the ModuLoop installation. And then it just also installs a few tools like Helm and Postman and NPM, and that just helps us so we can log into the box and test it out and play around with the environment. So let's see. So back on our project page, we have a bunch of instructions for how to kind of get going with this. Actually, let me consult my notes. So that's the architecture. That's a little bit about the tooling. I didn't really talk about the motivation. I have this little blog post I wrote, and I'll post this in the chat as well. This is originally when I joined the ModuLoop community, I was interested in this problem of how do you make it super easy to install and run and play around with ModuLoop. And the first iteration of this did okay, but not great. I think this one does a little bit better, but there's always ways we can improve. So if you have feedback or other thoughts or other ideas for how we can do a better job, then that would be really appreciated. Basically, you can kind of look through this blog post, which talks about a bit more of the background of it. And really, we're just going to be doing a live step through. The blog post is about the local install, whereas what we're going to do today is the Google Cloud install. But essentially, it's pretty similar. And really, it's just about getting people up and running with Mojo Loop as quickly as possible and making some opinionated decisions kind of on people's behalf. One of the other challenges that I think we want to see improve on in the future as well is memory usage. I think our recommendation at the moment is you need 8 gigs to run a Mojo Loop switch locally on your machine. So if you wanted to run this, or if you wanted to run it just using micro K8 or something on your computer, you need 8 gigs of RAM to run Mojo Loop. And if you've only got 8 gigs of RAM on your computer, then you're going to run out pretty quick. One of the other challenges is also networking and downloading Docker images. There's a lot of Docker images that need to be downloaded to get this environment up and running. So that's why the Google Cloud one exists, or one of the reasons the Google Cloud one exists. I don't have the best internet at the best of times, so being able to just run it in the cloud means that there's no issues downloading Docker images. So yeah, I think that's enough background. Let's kind of dig into the example. I have the project sitting on my computer. This is going to be pretty techy, so I should have maybe made that disclaimer at the start. But this is the project just sitting on my computer. And then if we look into my command line here, we close these other windows and just zoom in. Basically, we have a few directories. There's the VBox deploy. So if you're going to use VirtualBox, you use that one. And there's GCS deploy. So we can go to GCS deploy, Google Cloud deploy, and then we can run Vagrant up. And I'm going to cancel this straight away because I've already run this. I don't need to do it. I have one I prepared earlier. But let's walk through what the actual installation video looks like. And this is something we kind of practiced last week. And it's kind of nice to set the expectations, and we can just talk through what the installation is doing. So let me just share the video without sharing the sound. And so when we do run Vagrant up, this is kind of what happens. We wait and we wait, and the cool thing is I can put it into fast forward mode. Can someone just let me know that you can see some text scrolling on the screen? It'll be jumping back and forth a little bit.
We can, Lewis, but it's a bit.
It's a bit pixelated.
It's not very. Yeah, it's a bit pixelated. Yeah.
Okay. Let me see if I'll keep playing and see if that gets any better. I have to share the individual.
Getting better. Sorry.
It's getting better. Okay. Cool. So just to talk through, you might not be able to see it too clearly, but to talk through what's happening, Vagrant. Behind the scenes, we've configured it with my Google Cloud account. So on my behalf, Vagrant's going to spin up an image on Google Cloud, and then it's going to add my SSH keys, and then Vagrant's going to log into that SSH into that box, and then run the install scripts. So I'm not sure if that is getting any clearer. Let me just try sharing it again. Sometimes Zoom.
I can read it fine.
Yeah,
Oh, you can read it fine. Oh, that's good. Actually, Dad, do you want to just give a quick intro? Sorry, I forgot to throw over to you.
Yeah. Hi, folks. I'm Lewis's dad, and he invited me. He came to me with hey, how do we make this simple? And we sort of worked on this, I think, through May, and that's what Lewis is demonstrating now. And I love your project, and I'm looking forward to getting more involved, actually.
Thanks, Dad. Some parents go fishing with their kids, but not mine. Well, I guess we do go fishing as well, but not in a long time, not since I was younger. So I don't know, is that text getting any clearer at all?
Yeah,
I
the text
can
jump through. It's just small size. Yeah.
It's just small. Okay, yeah. Because it's a video, I can't make it any bigger.
That's all right. Go ahead. Go for it, Lewis.
Okay, cool. It's playing. So I'll just kind of speed through these steps. So the SSH is available now. So Vagrant's now going to log in. Let's go to 10 times faster. and checking my WhatsApp. And then, so the main script is started to run now, and it's doing a bunch of things behind the scenes. So the first thing it's doing is just updating packages, and then we're going to go ahead and install things like the micro K8s, install Helm, install some of the other different tooling like Postman that we talked about. So let's see, and then I have another video, number 2. And kind of once you've got that up and running, then it's a case of essentially waiting around for the environment to get up and running. So let's see, installing mini loop Helm chart and wait. Let me draw a line over there. Wait for a little while to get up and running. So kind of once you see that, it pauses for a little while maybe 10 minutes on the cloud version to install all of the, or download all of the Docker images and run them inside of Kubernetes. So once it's done that, I think one of the biggest challenges we saw with people getting up and running with Mojo Loop was understanding how to seed the environment and get the environment with the right config. Because Mojo Loop is an asynchronous API, every kind of actor in the system is both a client and a server. So one of the challenges I faced the most with using Mojo Loop was I would send a request, like a test request, and I'd get a response saying, great, thank you, I've accepted that request. And I didn't have my config set up correctly, so I never got any callbacks, or my services or whatever I was running never gets any callbacks to say actually something went wrong. So that's probably one of the hardest things to get right, and that's what Mini Loop out of the box does, is that it sets up the right Postman scripts and the Postman environment, and it also knows, sets up the right kind of hosts file to make sure that all of the callbacks by default are heading to the right place. So yeah, let's continue with this install script. So what we're seeing now, actually I'll draw another picture. What we're seeing now is the Postman setup script. So this is seeding the test environment, and it's doing things like creating the hub account, setting some alert email stuff. There should be, I think this one is creating like the currency that the switch is in and stuff like that. So let us resume our video. So lots of stuff is getting run. We're not seeing any errors, which is good. And you'll see a summary down the bottom once the Postman scripts have finished running. So let me just fast forward again. And I'll just try and bring up that summary page. So there's a lot of stuff that needs to go, that needs to run before we can run a test on the system. And I think a lot of this stuff is also being is using a slightly older setup, and we've got a newer setup with different types of simulators, DFSP simulators that we'll be able to use shortly as well, which hopefully will streamline things. So what I wanted to show you is just this summary at the end. So this was the seed environment. I think the script is called, what is the script called? It's called seed Mojo Loop. And what we can see here is that nothing failed, which is very good. And then after we've run the seed environment, then we're going to run the golden path test. And we're not actually, for the sake of brevity in this setup, we're just running the transfer steps of the golden path. The golden path takes, I don't know how long it takes to run the whole thing, but just pretty much if this is working, then you've got a good standing, you've got a good enough environment set up to be able to just test the transfer of A to B and get a feel for how things move around the system. But we will be adding the full test suite soon, hopefully. So yeah, this is the golden path peer-to-peer transfers, so sending money from A to B essentially. And let's just kind of skip ahead a bit more. And there we go. So that is kind of the test summary again. We don't see any failures. So I think at this point, what we have is a one click installed modular loop switch, and we can then do a bunch of stuff. And I've got one running. Here's the one I prepared earlier, and I can actually SSH into it and run some other commands. So we've got a few. Actually, let me share my full screen again. Sorry, let me make sure everyone can see that. So I can SSH into the box, and that will take a few seconds. In the repo page, we have a few examples of things that you might like to do to have a play around with. The running environment. So, and there's a bunch of examples here. So, for example, kubectl, which is the Kubernetes command line tool, can run get pods. So let's have a look at the different pods that are running. Oops, let me fix that. So the default user I logged in with doesn't have permission, isn't in the correct user group. So I just changed to sudo just because to get in there quickly. So kube control get pods, or PO, lists all of the different pods that are running inside of the switch. So we can see, if you were in Miguel's presentation yesterday, some pretty familiar looking services. So we have the central ledger, a bunch of central ledger components. We have finance portal, which I think was pretty recently added. We have the ML API adapter. So the ML API adapter is responsible for converting messages from the modular loop API into the internal Kafka messaging. We have an account lookup service. We should have a quoting service as well. So we can also take a look at some logs. So this is probably one of the most important command that you can kind of play around with. When you ask us for help, we can say, can you just show us the logs on that, please? So first we need to find a pod name. So let's say transfer get, no, position. Let's do that one. So kube control logs -f. And we have to specify exactly what the container is inside the pod. So now we're tailing the logs inside of the switch, and there's a bunch of logs in here that we can kind of use to debug and kind of get a feel for what's going on internally. What else have we got in our list? The other one that is useful is we have a script there called example transfer. And embarrassingly, since I updated to the latest Helm, this script is no longer working. So I can run it so you can see what it looks like and see how it fails. So I was frantically trying to get that working today, but it didn't happen, unfortunately. Scripts example transfer, and then example transfer.sh. So this is a very, very simplified version of a modular transfer, sending from one payer to the payee, and then it goes ahead and approves the transfer. And then it checks the position at the end. And because in this case, we're just kind of throwing off random requests into the ether or into modular loop, we're not actually listening for the callbacks. If we were listening for the callbacks, or there are services out there that are listening for the callbacks, if we were monitoring those, then we'd actually see that this failed. The other key thing is that the position hasn't moved at all. So if we run this again, we'll see the position hasn't changed, which tells us that this request actually was rejected somewhere. Oh, it moved. Oh, that's very odd. Well, let's see if it moves again. It still doesn't look right to me, because this -3.2 should have changed because funds were sent from the payer to the payee. So that possibly was another timeout from a golden path test or something that was timed out. So that's my super quick demo of Miniloop. I hope that was somewhat useful. I might just pause here to see if there's any questions from anyone, or we can.
Could I add? Is it worth adding just, Lewis, a quick look at the Vagrant file to show how that?
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. So basically, in GCS deploy, we just have the Vagrant file, and we also have a set of environment variables that you need to set for this to work. That's all covered in the documentation there. I mean, yeah, Dad, you wrote this, so I don't know if you want to walk through it or I can walk through it.
I think if you look at it, you can see that the first part is just setting up the connection and the SSH connection to Google Cloud, and then the provisioner. We're using a shell provisioner, and then it's just running the scripts. And I think, Lewis, you said that the scripts, some people are just taking the scripts and using them and looking at the scripts for setup itself. But
yeah.
But the provisioners are the things that actually drive this, and most of the smarts here are in the Vagrant plugin that you can see up the top that's actually installed for you if it's not already there, and that's doing all of the interaction with Google Cloud Services, and when Lewis showed you the Vagrant SSH, well, I thought it was just worth noting too that Vagrant SSH cuts out a huge amount of documentation from the Google SSH docs, because Vagrant's also setting up once you set up that environment, you can Vagrant SSH, it goes straight into that instance. You don't have to worry about the web client or setting up your other environment. Vagrant is basically doing that for you off of that environment. So all I was saying was you get a lot of payback for installing Vagrant and the Vagrant plugin.
Yeah, definitely. I think the other thing to note with the Google version, a few people have had problems where their Vagrant would kind of get stuck at waiting for SSH. And that seems to be related to some of the setup here, that you need to make sure that you have registered your SSH key with Google Cloud. So that was the other thing, actually, if we had time, I was going to talk through. So here's my instance running inside of Google Cloud. And what you need to make sure is a couple things. Now, let's see if I remember where this lives. Maybe I won't remember in time, but essentially when you're setting this up, you need to download a service account key, which is a JSON file, which gives Vagrant access to your Google Cloud environment. And you also need to register your SSH key, and you can create your own key just for using with Google Cloud, or you can just use the existing SSH key that you might have on your machine. I'm just trying to find where you do that, because that's where the most people have got stuck. I thought there was a way. Anyway, well, this is my machine here running. It does have an IP address which we can actually talk to as well from kind of my other machine. So let's see if I can get this the first time around. Health. It might work. We'll see. I didn't test this one. We might need to open some other ports. Yeah, we probably need to open some ports here, but you could also, without too much work, expose your running version of Miniloop on the public internet if you so desire down the line. So yeah, there's probably some security that's blocking that at the moment. But yeah, so that is Miniloop. Please get in touch if you have any questions, or if you want to get it running, if you think there's ways that you could improve it. I hope this was useful, and I hope that you guys will get some use out of that in the community.